Hello and welcome to another JNP's Trove class review. I'm your host JonNario, and today I'll be talking about the Gunslinger. The Gunslinger is a magical based character that uses a gun as a weapon of choice, so his focus is long-range combat. It has a bonus 15% to its base critical hit, and when you level up you get energy regeneration from 0.2 to 1% of your critical hit, and at level 20 you get 1 more to your jump stat, and also at level 30 you get a bonus 25% to your critical damage. So this class is the easiest class to get highest amounts of crit hit. This class also has a good dodge, so this character has a good speed momentum. The Gunslinger is the most popular class on Trove at the moment I'm making this. Here in this video I will tell you why is this class so popular and why you see this class as the main Shadow Tower class, and for speedrun too. Now let's talk about the combat ability and passive as well. This time starting with the basic attack. The Gunslinger's basic attack has a 1.4 times damage multiplier, which is average amongst all characters, and it is affected by attack speed. So using attack speed gear is good on the class, and I would strongly recommend getting attack speed, and I'll tell you why later on. It has a range of 29 blocks, which is a pretty long range attack, but it's pretty average for amongst all long range characters. One of the biggest strengths of this basic attack is the attacks per second. It's one of the fastest basic attack in the game, and attacking at 2.5 times a second with no gears or dragon. And it is a single target attack, so it has back crowd control. Overall, this basic attack is average all around. Damage is average, decent range but average amongst all long range characters, pretty fast but back crowd control. It can get the job done, but don't expect a really fast kill time with this basic. Now, let me talk about the first ability, since knowing this ability is very important to the Gunslinger's passive. This ability is called Shot Shot, and the description reads: hold Shot Shot for up to 2 seconds to increase its damage and radius. The Shot Shot has 3 shot variations with different damage and blast radius, similar to the Neon Ninja Shuriken, since the damage varies depending on how long you charge it. I'm going to identify them as levels, so let's get to it. Starting with the damage. At level 1, meaning no charge, it has a 1.5 times damage, which is low for an ability. At level 2, meaning if you charge the shot for at least 1 second, it gets bumped up to 2 times damage, which is still low, and it gets a 3x3 AoE explosion, dealing 1.5 times damage to the enemy that you hit directly, making it have a 3.5 times damage, which is still low. And at level 3, meaning if you charge the ability for 2 seconds or more, it will get bumped up to 4 times damage, which is below average, and it gets a 5x5 AoE explosion, dealing 3.5 times damage, making it have a 7.5 times damage to the enemy that you hit directly, which will make this an above average damage ability. And it has a 31 block range at level 1, and at level 2 and 3 it gets bumped up to 32, which is a long range ability, but it's still pretty average for a long range characters. And that is all. Overall, this ability is average, same as the basic attack. It has a lot of potential, but it has pretty big negatives. 2-second charge, pretty good AoE if you charge it, decent damage, good range, and still, this ability is very important for the passive, so let's talk about the passive. I needed to explain both the basic and the charge shot, since you needed to know both ability before knowing the passive. So anyways, the Gunslinger's passive ability is called Walkie Shot, and the description reads: while in the air, damage dealt to enemies decreases the Gunslinger's descent. Dealing damage can cause the next charge shot to be at full power without any charging time. This is a pretty simple ability, so this won't take long to explain. So anyways, let's start with the reduced falling speed. When you do damage with any ability or basic, you will fall at approximately 80% slower for 2 seconds. Doing damage again will refresh the timer. This is good since you will have more survivability with this passive. And now with the charge shot. When you do damage with any ability or basic, or heck, even something like bombs will affect this passive, you will have approximately a 20% chance of making your next charge shot a level 3 charge shot, which will be shown as 2 rings on the right gun, and that lasts for 5 seconds. Pressing the charge shot while the rings are active, you will shot a level 3 charge shot without even charging it, which is very nice since it makes that ability really good since it does decent damage. And that's it. Overall, the passive I will still say is good, even though it's something very simple, it's still very effective. It really helps the charge shot, and the decreased falling speed will make you survive a little bit longer. I would recommend to be in the air as much as you can, since it does help out a lot. The second ability which you get at level 3 is called Blast Jump, and the description reads, launches the Gunslinger up in the air, damaging nearby enemies. Another pretty simple ability to explain, but it does have a hidden quirk. First off, the damage. It does a 6 times damage, which is average amongst all abilities. And it has a range of 4 blocks in a radius, meaning it has average range for a close range ability. But it does have really good crowd control due to being an ability that attacks around you. This ability launches the Gunslinger 6 blocks in the air, and it doesn't count as jumps, so if you have a low jump stat value, this could serve you as a free jump. Also, when you activate this ability, you will get the float effect from the passive ability if you don't hit anything. That lasts for 2 seconds. And it has a 0.5 second animation startup. Overall, this ability is good. Normally, I don't like ability that doesn't have an instant cast, but the benefits are just great. Free jumps, the float effect from the passive, and it has a decent damage and good AoE. I would recommend everyone to use this ability. Do not underestimate this ability, this will help you more than you think. And it's pretty much the most damage that you will do if you don't have the class yet. The ultimate ability which you get at level 5 is named Run and Gun, and the description reads, increases the Gunslinger's movement speed and attack speed, and allows the Gunslinger to run at full speed while attacking. This ultimate ability is very simple to explain since it does what you'd expect. It increases your attack speed by 75%, and it also gives plus 20 to your movement speed. And after those two buffs, you can move at a full speed when you attack. Meaning if you attack with your basic attack, that it doesn't lower your movement speed at all. And that's it. Overall, this ultimate ability is average. It gives nice buff, but it is an ultimate ability. Ults have a long cooldown and they are powerful. This one is nice but not powerful. It still has the long cooldown since it's an ultimate ability. This ult lasts for 10 seconds and it has a 40-second cooldown. That's all on the ability. Now, let's talk about why is the class sim so good and why should you get it. This class sim ability is what makes the Gunslinger so popular, and this is why. It's called Overcharge, and the description reads, Run and Gun no longer increases your attack speed, but all your shots are fired are fully charged shots. So this is an amplification on the mediocre ultimate ability, and pretty much makes it a ridiculous DPS machine. Now, let's talk numbers. It increases your basic attack from normal 1.5 times damage to the level 3 charge shot. In other words, your basic attack becomes the strongest basic attack in the game, having a 4 times damage multiplier plus a 3.5 times damage from the AoE, so in total you have a basic attack that does 7.5 times damage, which is outstanding. It also no longer increases your attack speed by 75%, it actually reduces your attack speed by 25%, making it shoot at 75% of your normal attack speeds, and it keeps the plus 20 movement speed and running at full speed while attacking, and that's it. This ability overall is ridiculous. It's probably the best class gem in the game. It just makes the Gunslinger do stupid amounts of DPS since you will be shooting level 3 charge shot roughly 2 to 8 times a second, depending on your attack speed and if you're buffed or not. Has a potential of 7.5 times damage each shot, and it does have AoE of a level 3 charge shot, so it gains crowd control as well. Getting this class gem is a no-brainer. This class gem alone is why the Gunslinger is the most popular class on Trove right now, and overall the best class for Shadow Tower. That's the class gem. Now, the subclass, but as always go to the timer on screen or click the timer in the description if you don't want to hear the subclass explanation and tiers and such, but for those who want to stay, here's the subclass explanation and their tiers. Enjoy, and I'll see you in a bit. Before I talk about the subclass, I'll tell you how the subclass works first. There is one character level and one power rank. Levels 1 through 9 gives you the starting tier. At level 10 you get the second tier, then it's on a 5 level interval to keep increasing the subclass tier, capping at tier 6 at level 30. And power ranks tier 1 is a 1 power rank. and at 5000 power rank is the second tier. Then it's on a 5000 power rank interval, capping also at tier 6 at 25,000 power rank. Also, you get a bonus power rank when equipping a subclass. Levels 1 through 9 you get 15 bonus power rank. At level 10 you get 15 more power rank. Then it's every 5 levels you get 15 bonus power rank until you hit level 30, which gives you a total of 90 power rank. So when you're equipping a different character's subclass, this power rank doesn't count towards the tier list. That's why you might see the power rank on a character lower than usual when equipping a subclass. Welcome back, and here's the subclass. The Gunslinger subclass Rain Destruction increases your damage output while you're in the air, and it gives more jumps based on your Gunslinger's level. Tier 1 on character level, it gives 1 more to your jump stat value. Tier 2 is 2 jumps, Tier 3, 3 jumps, Tier 4, 4 jumps, Tier 5, 6 jumps, and Tier 6 is 10 extra jumps. And the subclass on power is the increased damage while in midair. It gives a small boost to damage output if you're not touching any blocks, and it shows 2 orbs around and a blue glow indicating that the passive is active. The power rank tier increases the damage percentage while this is active. Tier 1 it starts at a 2.5% more damage while in midair. Tier 2 3%, Tier 3 is 3.5%, Tier 4 is 4%, Tier 5 is 4.5%, and Tier 6 is 5% more damage. So in other words, powering up the subclass will make little difference, so I will not recommend powering up the Gunslinger just for the subclass. Still, more damage is more damage, and you can't complain, right? So overall, I will consider this as a good subclass. Even though the percentage of this subclass is pretty low, it's still extra damage. It's not the strongest subclass, but it does a decent extra damage, and it does affect any type of damage. So that includes minions. Looking at you, Draco. I would recommend to use the subclass if you're using a class that jumping helps out a lot. For example, the Dino Tamer or the Shadow Hunter if you had the class gem. That's the Gunslinger. It's an average class all around if you're not using overcharge. The damage is average, pretty good range, good AoE on some ability, but the DPS is pretty low. But once you get the class gem, that's another story. The damage on the class gem is out of this world and pretty much destroys everything. I'll say that again, this is probably the best class for Shadow Towers overall, since it's capable of soloing all Shadow Arenas and dungeons in any difficulty, no problem. And the DPS is pretty high with no buff, but if this class gets a buff from any of the attack speed increased subclass or the Candy Barbarian ult, the DPS just becomes ridiculous. I would strongly recommend this class if you have an extra class gem key, and also recommend this class if you want to do speedruns for Purple Name. My gear recommendation is to get attack speed 2nd or 4th and also critical damage 2nd or 4th. Since this class is all about the damage, so movement speed is not needed. And I will not recommend getting energy regen on the gun since you will be missing out on either more damage or attack speed. As of the ring, that's when I'll recommend energy regens, so you can use blast jump more often and meaning you will have more survivability. Anyways, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think of the class in the comments below, and normally I would say, and please let me know which class I should do on the next episode, but I will choose the next class because the next class, subclass, is very important for the Gunslinger, and that is the Lunar Lancer. And also, there's a little game that I like to show you. Tell me in the comments below how many times I say charge or charging. I was just doing the editing and I found that really funny. But yeah, anyways, thank you for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time. Take care and keep on hunting. See ya.